She was one breath away from disappearing forever, the kind of moment where time slows and every sound feels distant, as if the world itself is holding its breath. Machines screamed in the ICU, fluorescent lights burned overhead, and a young woman lay motionless on a narrow hospital bed while doctors whispered words that sounded like a final verdict. Her lungs were failing, her blood oxygen dropping, and hope was thinning faster than the air she struggled to draw in. Outside the glass walls, rain battered the windows, and with every passing second, the line between life and death grew dangerously thin. Before this moment, her life had already been heavy with quiet battles. She had grown up learning to survive rather than dream, carrying responsibilities far too early, pushing herself through exhaustion because stopping was never an option. She worked long hours, ignored warning signs from her body, and believed strength meant enduring pain silently. When her health began to collapse, she brushed it off, convincing herself that rest was a luxury she could not afford. That belief nearly cost her everything. By the time she collapsed at work and was rushed to the hospital, her condition had turned critical, and doctors knew that without an immediate blood transfusion from a rare matching type, she would not survive the night. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of human connection, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that one moment, one person, can change everything. As nurses moved urgently through the ward, calls went out across the hospital system searching for a donor. Minutes stretched into an hour, and the list of possible matches came back empty. Her family lived far away and didn't share her blood type. Friends tried, strangers volunteered, but none were compatible. The doctors began preparing for the unthinkable, documenting times, adjusting machines, and offering quiet looks of apology to one another. In the waiting area, her belongings sat untouched, her phone buzzing with messages she would never read if help didn't arrive soon. In another part of the hospital, a single father sat in a plastic chair outside a pediatric room, his shoulders slumped from weeks of worry. His young daughter slept inside, recovering from surgery, her small chest rising and falling in fragile rhythm. He had not left the hospital in days, surviving on vending machine coffee and prayers whispered under his breath. When a nurse approached him and asked about his blood type, he answered without thinking, assuming it was routine paperwork. The moment she looked up, eyes wide with urgency, something shifted. He didn't know who needed help or why, but he felt the weight of the question settle deep in his chest. Life had already carved him into someone familiar with sacrifice. Since losing his wife years earlier, he had learned to be both mother and father, to stay strong even when exhaustion threatened to break him. He understood what it meant to love someone so deeply that fear became a constant companion. When he was told that his blood type was a perfect match for a critically ill patient who had no one else, hesitation never entered his mind. In that moment, being a father meant more than protecting his own child, it meant showing her what compassion looks like. As he was wheeled toward the donation room, the woman lay fading, her heartbeat uneven, her breaths shallow and irregular. Doctors spoke in clipped tones, aware that time was nearly gone. When the call came confirming a donor was ready, the entire atmosphere shifted. Nurses moved faster, hope flickered back into eyes that had already begun to dim. The transfusion began quietly, a simple process carrying an extraordinary weight. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, her oxygen levels stabilized. Her heartbeat strengthened. The line on the monitor straightened, then steadied, as if life itself had decided to give her another chance. Hours later, as dawn softened the edges of the storm outside, she remained alive. Weak, unconscious, but alive. Doctors called it remarkable. Nurses called it a miracle. She would later learn that a stranger, a man she had never met, had given her more than blood. He had given her time. Days turned into weeks, and recovery came slowly, painfully, but steadily. With every breath she relearned to take, gratitude filled the spaces where fear had once lived. When she was strong enough to sit by the window, she asked about the person who saved her. She learned he was a single dad, that he had a little girl waiting for him just down the hall, and that he had returned to her side immediately after donating, never seeking recognition. The knowledge changed her. Survival was no longer just about her own strength, it was about the invisible threads that connect lives in moments we never expect. She promised herself that if she walked out of that hospital, she would live differently, love louder, and never again ignore the quiet warnings of her own heart. If this story is touching your heart, please pause for a moment and show your support by liking the video, sharing it with someone you care about, and subscribing to the channel. Your engagement helps keep stories of hope and humanity alive. Months later, life carried on. She returned to work with new boundaries, new gratitude, and a renewed sense of purpose. Somewhere in the same city, a little girl laughed as her father pushed her on a swing, unaware that his simple act of kindness had rewritten the future of a woman he might never meet again. And yet, their lives were forever connected by a single moment when compassion arrived just in time. Before this story ends, leave a comment below sharing what this moment meant to you, because sometimes a few words can carry more power than we realize. She had been one breath from death, standing at the edge of goodbye, until a single dad with the perfect blood type walked in. And in that quiet hospital corridor, without applause or headlines, humanity showed up exactly when it was needed most.